Really? Oh.
Hello.
What's up, sir?
Gotta figure out how to get. Here we go.
Hello, Rep. Are you with us? Okay, she's signing on. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our September Woman Up in. Good evening, everyone.
My apologies. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you look so beautiful.
It's a ponytail. Thank you.
It's still cute. It's still cute. Oh, two people in the waiting room. Let me admit everyone. That was, I don't know who that was. Okay. A lot of people are going to the concert tonight.
I heard about what is it called? Maxwell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, of course. Thank you for the invite.
Always. Okay. Well, people are going to trickle in, and we are not going to hold up the conversation, but we will let them in. So I do thank you guys for being here tonight. And I'll just keep letting them in as they come. Okay. Just a few more minutes, ladies. People are just trickling in. We have 10 on the participant list so far that are here. Okay, so good evening, ladies. Welcome to our September Woman Up Initiatives webinar. We do this every month and we have all types of topics to share with you. And tonight we are going to be talking about civic engagement, voting, and the hierarchies of the US government and why people should know about that. So my guest tonight, I am going to introduce her. You guys can give me some comments, show your faces, say hello, put stuff in the chat, ask questions. One of the things I want us to refrain from is talking about Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. I want us to really talk about civic engagement, the hierarchy of the US government, knowing who to go to for what. And that I think will help people understand what their needs are and how to address their needs. So tonight, I have all of you guests. Some of you are Women Up Initiative members, and some of you are not. So welcome and thank you for joining us tonight. I have special guest State Representative Regina G. Young, who is a product of the public school system and a native of New Haven, Connecticut. And she was elected to represent the 185th Legislative District in November of 2020. Click, click, snap, snap. Yep, everything, all that. Yes. And we're so proud of her. And she is also a community organizer, former educator, social service worker, a certified HIV and grief counselor. And before running for office, she was a community schools coordinator in the Philadelphia Mayor's Office of Education. So let's all give a big welcome to our state representative, Regina Young, representing the 185th district. Hello and welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you for agreeing to take some time to spend with us this month. I think it's only appropriate that we talk about it because some people just don't know about civic engagement, their rights, and their voting rights as well. And so, we're just going to have a little conversation about that. So thank you so much for agreeing to be our guest for our September webinar.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to share information.
Absolutely. And your office does such a wonderful job sharing information. Tell us where your offices are located. So if consumers are out there, or give us some phone numbers if consumers are out there, they have the opportunity to call the rep's office, because this is what you can't do. You can't bombard her cell phone, especially when you need to call the office. So give us a number that folks can call. So that way, if they have to drop off the line or whatever, they'll know how to contact your office for services and help.
Sure. The easiest way to contact me is always through my website, because not only will you have my email address, you'll have my physical locations to my offices, but also you will have all three of my phone numbers. So I always like to let people know www.repregginayoung.com not only allows you information about how to contact us, but it also allows you to subscribe to the information so that as we're doing email blasts or robocalls or mailings, you will also get information from us through those channels as well.
I love that. That was very clear. You're not only going to get one number, you're going to get three numbers, and you're going to get information on where the offices are located and anything else that she's doing. It'll be on the website. So thank you so much, Rep, for that. And so we're just going to jump and dive right in. The first thing that I want to know about, and you have a wonderful fact sheet on it. I think we can attach it. We can send it out. People can get it. It's real easy to get. And one of the things I wanted to do is talk about it because it's called the hierarchy of the U.S. government. And so it starts with community, municipal, state, and federal. So tell us what this fact sheet is all about and why people should pay attention to this fact sheet and how every category, just one example, can affect them. Let's start with community.
Sure. So the reason why I created that fact sheet is simply because people really don't know how government works for them. So when election season come, which is every 6 months in absolutely every part of the country, people want to know why. Like, how does it impact them? Why should they vote? Well, the beautiful thing about the fact sheet is that it tells you who's responsible for what. Now, as people are, it's never difficult for people to find reasons why they want to complain or things that they have issues with. However, I love challenging people to ask, who have they reached out to whenever they are sharing that there's concerns. And more times than not, they'll just throw a name out there just because, nobody wants to be put on the spot. But I love letting people know here, if you really want to be engaged, and then if you really want to be engaged to with the goal to really achieve an outcome, this is what you do. Here's how you reach those particular outcomes. So when you're looking at community, if you get the fact sheet, and Sherry, I don't know how you're sharing the information, but on the fact sheet, there's the federal level, the state level, the municipal level, and then there's community. And at the bottom, it says who holds the power. And in bold, big letters, it says you. So you, as an average everyday citizen, move all the pieces of government. But if you don't really utilize those networks, well, then you're giving away your power. And so I love the the community civic engagement conversation, because it makes sure everybody knows, regardless of your title, your social economic background, your educational background, you have the power. And so I let people know, just by the value of your one voice, your one issue, it leads to other rooms. And so just really, really quick on a snapshot, and I don't know if this one you answered, questions, so you can just stop me, but municipal covers wherever city or county you live in. That's what is AKA a municipality. So those people you elect in Philadelphia, we have city council people. Those city council people are those who answer to us in Philadelphia. And the leader of that particular municipality is our mayor, and right here, is Sherelle Parker. And on a state level, those of us who have two chambers, well, everybody in the state, in the country, have two chambers, which is state, the House and the Senate. Anything state related, that means anything that covers everything in that state, not the municipality, but everything in that state. Every decision we make when we're in session, it covers the entire state. So when we make a decision, it impacts the entire state. And you have two chambers, the Senate and the House. And who governs over this state? The governor governs over the state, at least in Pennsylvania. And then in the US, again, when they're in session in DC, the House and the Senate, they govern over what happens in the entire country. Who's the ultimate person? It's the president. It is really that simple. Civics, ABC, 1, 2, 3. So that's how I like to start, to make sure people, take the anxiety out of the room of, I don't really know who it is. I don't really, get it. All right, well, it's really that simple. State, local, federal. And regardless of where you live, especially if you live in the US, everybody has a smartphone. Just Google, who is my legislator? When you Google who your legislator is, it tells you who your elected officials are. And that's an easy, quick snapshot way of learning who you should be engaged with based on whatever information you put into that box.
I think this is why I love this fact sheet so much, because a lot of times people do stop me and ask me a lot of questions, and you know, it's hard to take in a lot of information when you're out and you're gauging with people, because you're trying to listen to what they're actually saying, and right away you got to know if it's a community issue, a municipal issue, a state issue, or a federal issue. So the easiest way is for them to have this. Now, no one has this fact sheet right now, Rep, but everyone that signs on tonight, I will make sure they get it, and I will post it as well.
Or they can go on my website
They can
and
go.
answer, because it is right there.
It is there, and that is exactly why I wanted you to share your information. And you can also find Rep Regina Young at on her Instagram at Rep Regina Young. So there's multiple ways to find her. Like she said, on her website is repreginayoung.com. So I'm putting a sister out there because she represents the 185th, and she's just, you know, so engaging, and we appreciate that. So if anyone has any questions at this point, put them in the chat. We want to hear from you. We're going to start talking about civic engagement. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. Okay. All right. And somebody needs to mute. We are muting. Mute, please. Okay. Let me.
Art needs to mute.
Okay.
But I will say, I see my mom up here, so I got to give her a shout out because she'll text me. So Ruth Hosky is my mom, so she's here. Thank you for joining, Mom. And I also see my cousin Teresa. So thank you for joining us, Teresa.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for joining. We always love moms and cousins and family. We're all family up in here. So, one of my questions, Rep, my first question to you is, what role does civic engagement play in strengthening democracy? Not democracy, democracy.
Democracy.
Let
I
me get
know.
it out right. Democracy. And
Yeah.
particularly those that are marginalized communities, and how can local government contribute? How can we
So
make a difference? How can local government make a difference? How can we strengthen democracy?
I think it's really as simple, and excuse me if I'm oversimplifying this conversation, but I really do see it as being black and white, and as simple as asking questions and empowering people with information. However, I know, in Harrisburg, in Pennsylvania, there's 203 House members and there's 50 senators, and so um, there's a lot of rural areas right here in the state of PA. And when people say marginalized communities and communities of color, clearly they're talking about a lot of urban areas, and the narrative is that people in these communities are just ill prepared to receive the information. And so the thought is they have to be spoon fed because they just have so much of life happening. There's no way that they can speak up for themselves. And it's quite frustrating for me because I totally disagree with that entire narrative. I was born and raised in such communities, and I know when I wanted answers, I know how to find the answers I was looking for. And it's easy to accept the help from other people because it takes the effort in trying to research. But I think in 2024, we need to start pushing back on people who I know life happens, and that's another thing we just do poorly as a society, but that's just another conversation. We need to prepare people that life happens and life is difficult. And so unfortunately, oftentimes in our communities, it becomes so overwhelming. People are often discouraged and they're like, I'm so overwhelmed. And I believe that people are overwhelmed because they're just not prepared for the conversation of knowing life is challenging. So if we don't go out to seek the answers and the supports that we need, then it's going to be even more difficult. The older we get, the more children we have, the less education we have. So I think if we have those real life conversations as early as possible, people in our communities can be strengthened. And so that would be my approach to strengthening democracy, especially in marginalized communities.
That is a wonderful way of putting it. We need every resource. We do have a question in the chat from Dr. Amani Price. And the question is, what is the most effective way to support your local government?
Go to talk to them. It's really is. So my journey, I know, Sherry had talked a little bit about it, but it's really as simple as when you see somebody. Here's the deal: in Philly and in Delco, wherever I am, and my family's here, and they don't mind putting me on the spot. I'm regular. I'm just Regina. So I talk to people like I'm just Regina. I talk to our mayor like she's Sherelle. She's our mayor. I respect her authority, but she's a person. We have to stop acting like these people are untouchable. You elected us. So you just talk to the people. You see a councilman, I see Councilwoman Tanya on the call. She can vouch. I would absolutely, we just talk to people. In our communities, especially our communities of color, we need to normalize accessibility. Talk to people. Well, tell me why this is happening this way. Tell me how I can help. Tell me how I can support this effort. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm only here because my predecessor wasn't able to give me the support I wanted. I didn't want this. Like, I had a kid in high school, so I was like thinking about college, and I was working for the city. So I was looking to be a little bit more stable, is what I would say. So I was scared to like leave my job because in the city of Philly, you had to quit to run for an office. So I'm like, since this chick made me quit my job, I gotta like give it all, right? Win, lose, or fail, I had to give it all. And so it really was just that simple. If you really see that you need something in your community that is going to be beneficial to you and your family, go for it. You don't let nobody stop you.
See, this is the energy that I love because mostly all the ladies on here, some I know, and the ones that we're going to be new friends, it's about exactly what the rep is sharing tonight. You have to be engaging, you have to ask questions, and you have to be accessible. Now, you don't have to get bogged down with unnecessary conversations. We just have to point people in the right direction. And that's why I wanted to really talk about the hierarchy of the US government, because sometimes people think they can go above a certain level to get a result. Now, maybe sometimes you can, and that's great, but you still have to go through one of these areas at some point in time in order for you, Rev, to get something done, to get something passed, to affect change for the community. And then all of us on here is up to us to contribute to that in some type of way. And I think that everyone is doing that. But for the folks that are in the back that are not hearing us and they are just complaining, we need them to step up and realize that your vote does matter. So my next question to you, Rep, are many people feel that their vote doesn't make a difference. How can state governments help combat voter apathy and inspire more people to participate in the electoral process?
So what I tend to do, and I'm so grateful that I've been on this particular approach to this word since before I got here, and that is just talk to people. If you don't know your value, how are people going to see your value? We have to stop as a people. So we have to stop waiting on people to tell us how good we are. Like, I know I was born dope, no shade. Regardless of what I was doing, I know I was born dope. And that means I knew I was born to seek out answers because my ancestors kind of like suffered for me to make sure that I show up for them now, right? So I don't mind letting people, I do a lot of public facing work in my administration. I know my team gets exhausted sometimes, right? They don't always like me. I get it. But we're very public facing because my approach is the community is our report card. So when we're out, and 1/3 of my district is white Republican, just to put that out there, but we're always walking the streets, we're always canvassing. I have a lot of meetings, even when I have and I have an office there, I will walk around the block just to knock on doors and just say hi, because I want you to my face tell me what your thoughts are. And I love doing it when it's not election time. And when they say, well, you know what, I just feel, and it's a lot of feelings involved, right? People want to
Always,
talk about their
always.
feelings. I feel like you guys don't do this. I feel. So I'm like, okay, well, all right, that's valid, because people need to be affirmed. But what are you doing with that feelings? Because I'm still cashing a check. Like, I'm really black and white with it. Your feelings, you're not making me aware of what you're trying to do. So I'm still cashing a check. So you can't be mad at me, because I'm telling you I'm accessible. I'm showing up on your block. I'm showing up on your little, social media stuff. So if you're not engaging me, I don't know what you want me to do. So be angry enough to engage me. Make me do something, and then prove that I can't do it. How about we do that?
How about we do that? There's snaps and claps on that one, because this is the personality and this is the person that I know, and she's very passionate about her community. And so that's why we wanted to lead into September, which is my birthday month. It's her
Hey.
birthday. Hey, hey. And to all the Virgos out there, Virgo Nation forever. And it was Rep had a birthday too. And our mayor had a birthday, and a whole list of other Virgos. So
Virgos are dope.
we are dope, and we know that. So one of the other comments from Dr. Amani Price in the chat is, we would normalize speaking to our elected officials if they were as normal as you. So that is a beautiful compliment. They can be as normal as you. They just have to loosen up and realize that that is the role that you were elected into. That means you do have to communicate with people.
Yeah, and it's okay. Everybody had different personalities. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I totally get that. My approach is not going to be uniformly embraced. I get that. I will say, though, we're still people, and you can call us out. We're people who need a vote to stay here. So maybe they're not, they don't use a Regina Young approach. They better use some approach as long as it's effective. That's the point I'm making. Everybody is not me. My real close friends,
I know.
I have a nickname. They call me Hyper. Like my nickname in college, is some of my friends was called Rick, short for Ritalin. So that kind of gives you a little bit of insight of who I am. I just have hyper. I'm hyper. I'm hyper. But my mom is like 70, and she's equally as hyper. Good thing she's in Connecticut, so you don't get a chance to see it as much. But it's a personality, and it's okay if personalities are different. But the goal is, Dr. Price, is to make sure that whoever your legislator is, they're effective. That's really the bottom line.
Oh, absolutely. And if they're not, then we hold them accountable, because, again, they represent communities all across here in Philadelphia. So my next question is, what challenges do you see in making the voting process more accessible for all? And how can federal lawmakers work to remove these barriers?
Accessibility. So the first thing I would say, everything starts with an individual. And I do believe a lot of our problems can be resolved if people just understand the value of their power and their voice and their vote on a community level. This is unpopular to say, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. People don't like change. People don't really like to be held accountable. People don't really like to do the work. It's easy to be given things. It's easy to be told things. A lot of people just don't really like to be challenged, and so they push back. And we're in such a, democratic society, whereas if you don't like to be challenged, or if you don't want to, if you don't really want to engage, well, then there's mechanisms in place to make you comfortable. The problem is we're too comfortable.
That's
and we
right.
need to get uncomfortable. So the federal level, so again, I would just a really quick snapshot. Generally, your federal House reps, I'll just say, they represent over. I'll just stick with PA because it's easy for me in PA. You remember, federal governs over the entire country. So your federal legislators generally cover over 750,000 people in PA. So my federal rep, her name is Scanlon, Mary Gay Scanlon. Dwight Evans. They all govern over 750,000 people, and they probably have a staff of no more than 25. I believe is the last count. Your state people who, again, what we do covers the entire state. So you have your state senator. Your state senator governs over 250,000 people. And I believe he has a staff of like no more than, oh, Joy's up here, but I believe it's no more than 15. That's with the Harrisburg and the county. But so remember, 250,000, and you have no more than 15 people. Your House reps, I govern 2 counties and I govern over 63,000 people. And I have a staff of 6. In the city of Philadelphia, your city council person governs over 125,000 people. And he have a staff, I think, of 10. The reason why I like to share that information is because I'm not saying hundreds, I'm saying thousands. But every like our staff ratio is less than 50. And we have to serve thousands of people. So just think about what is it called? The squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So somebody wants something bad enough, you got to make it known. Like, now I'm not moving off of this until I get what I want. I don't care how many people you governing over. Remember, my predecessor had my seat, right? And so she would say how busy she was and how many things is going on. I could care less about any of that stuff. So as to the population of people who still need to be reminded that their voice have power, we have to make sure that they adopt the mentality of discomfort is fine. Challenging people is fine, but ultimately get what you say you want because
Right.
you say you want it. So
Right.
you got to move people. And
Yes.
even your federal legislators, it's fine if it's 750,000. But I need this change. So I need for you to advocate for that. And then they are going to inform you on how you can help them advocate for the change you ultimately want to see on the federal level.
I agree with you. Absolutely. At this point, I'm going to give somebody that's itching to ask a question and not put it in the chat to ask the rep a question before I ask my next question. Anyone? I see Anita's hand up. Anita Lewis, unmute yourself and join the conversation.
That was a clap sign. I was clapping for what she said. I don't have a question. I was like, yay, go. The only thing, well, I'll just have a few statements. You know, Rep Young, what you see is what you get. I love that about her. And I love working with her staff. I just have to remind them to let me know when they have a community event so I can make sure, you know, my organization is a part of it and contributing and supporting, because I know they're your constituents, but many of them are our members, and I need for them to know that we work collaboratively together. So that's 2 and 3. The other thing is, you know, to the point that someone made earlier, you a lot of representatives, a lot of legislators, not to me, but I've seen it in other legislators, how they respond to other people are not as approachable. Now, sometimes it depends on the day and where they are. And, you know, you guys have long nights and long days and, you know, you're tired and people forget that you're human too, or you may have other things going on. You have children, other responsibilities, a husband, a family, and people forget that because they're focused on what they need. You know, these loud people that you're saying, the squeaky wheel, you know, they're trying to squeak, and sometimes the timing can be off. So I want to throw that out there too. The final thing is, you were talking about the federal representation. I wanted to say that I listen to way too much Sirius radio, specifically Urban View, on the turnpike up and down. And I got hip to this app called Five. Oh God. And I was supposed to have it ready. I'll put it in the chat. And I love this app because it gives you all of the tools if there's an issue, whether it's abortion or the John Lewis bill that still has not passed. It gives you all of the tools, to the number to call your specific legislator, what to say, the language, the words, the letters, or sometimes they're very easy and all you have to do is add your email and click, and the email will go directly to that legislative office. So I'm going to share that in the link because I think more of us need to use. When I say us, well, some of us who are in Harrisburg all the time are pretty savvy, but some of those that you were talking about earlier who are not as savvy in civics, they may find it beneficial if there is an issue that they want to let their legislator know, I don't like this or vote for this or don't vote for that, but they don't have the words or the language to use to say what they want to say. So I'll put that app in the text. So, but that's all really
that's a lot. That's a lot to contribute, as you always do. And I love that. Please stick it in there because, again, it is about how you ask things and the questions that you're going to put out there. So you definitely have to know what to say, who to write it to, and how to get it to them. So we have another question, a hand up from Dr. Amani Price. Please join the conversation, Dr. Amani Price.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. It's great to be here. I'm a military veteran and I live in Maryland. And oftentimes there are all kinds of problems and concerns with getting support from the VA, from getting benefits right, just various things with our care as veterans. Where do we go with that complaint? Who do we reach out to share what's happening here in Maryland? I don't know what's happening in other states for veterans, but I know what's happening here in Maryland.
So this is a quiz, Dr. Price, because I was saying so do you think your issue is on a city, is on a municipal level, like your county where you live? Do you think it's on your state level, or do you think it's on your federal level?
If it's the VA hospital, it feels like a federal issue.
Right. And so what I would encourage you to do is first understand what's happening in your county, what laws surround hospitalizations in your county, because there's county ordinances too, right? Then there's state policies and laws. And then there's federal. The federal, remember, when your federal legislator casts a vote for anything around VA hospitals, that's for the entire country. Mm-hmm. When your state legislators do anything, that's around the entire state. Mm-hmm. When your county legislators make a vote for anything, that's around your particular county. So I think it would be helpful to better understand who's doing what in what space, and based on what you don't like, that's who you go after.
And that is exactly why we are having this civic engagement and hierarchy of the U.S. government conversation tonight. Because again, sometimes we put our energy in the wrong bucket. It might trickle down to all of the buckets eventually at some stage in that process. But sometimes you got to attack, like the rep just said, that one bucket first before you can advance to the next level. So thank you so much for that question. We have another hand up, and that is from Yolanda Taylor. So Yolanda, jump right in with your question.
Okay. So I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to, add on to what Anita was saying. There's so much information out there, and I agree with Representative Young, people need to get uncomfortable and take the time. I know people are busy, but you have to do the work and check out and to get your information. Here's an app that I've been using ever since 2017. Horror. It's called Causes. I can see what my representatives are voting on, the issues, what they're voting on, when the vote's coming, are they voting the way I want them to vote, when voter registration is. I'm sitting here looking at here every date in my state of Maryland, know the dates, everything, voter registration deadline, absentee ballot deadline, return ballot deadline, all the information that you need is in an app. I mean, and I looked the app up myself. I mean, it wasn't, this isn't rocket science. The people are on their TikTok and they can get an app to get the information. It's just that simple. And it is a matter of, now the question is, I would have for the legislators here, what can we do to get our young people and get people engaged in voting and not be so apathetic about it? Is there a process to like remind people that they wouldn't want to take away our votes if it wasn't so powerful?
And that was my question number 4. And thank you, Yolanda, because
I'm
we
sorry,
are,
let me get off
no,
my
don't even apologize. You are part of this group, and that is why we're thinking the same way. What?
Let me ask you this. By the show of hands, you could do a thumbs up or whatever. How many of you either are parents or have friends who have young children and who have family members who have children in your family? And how many of us talk to them, or how many of us encourage them? Because it's really as simple as talking to the people who we're trying to impact. It's really that simple. If it's really around young people voter engagement, let's just get our folks out there, right? Get your nieces and your nephews together. Everybody likes free food. We all the aunties on this call. Get a little dinner together. Hey guys, how many of you are registered to vote? How many of you don't mind volunteering? How many of you want to be a poll watcher? We got to learn how to think outside the box. The responsibility isn't all on government. Our country has been around for 250 years come 2026, and we still ain't figure it out. What makes you think we're going to figure it out in like 49 days? We're not. Don't put the responsibility. I mean, I'm just being honest here. So we got to think outside the box. Get these young people, pizza party, water rights, whatever.
I am the family nag. So, they know I already text my son and his wife. My son didn't vote in a special mayoral election in Baltimore. And he's the first to complain. Now I raised my son every time I vote in every election, every time. And so I took my son when he was a child. He went with me and stood in that voting booth. He has canvassed with me. I have taught him the process. And he goes, "Oh, Mom, I'm so busy." But I asked his wife, I'm like, "Did you vote?" She goes, "Of course." And then he's looking at her like, "Yeah, you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed." So I'm that family nag. So
find somebody else who's more palatable, because sometimes they do tune us out if we're too loud. So tag team it off. I like to talk to the people in my community around their freedoms now, right? In PA, we just, we're a majority by one in the House. However, I ask people, how many of you are liking the fact that we are now offering mental health services to our community? How many of you are liking the fact that we're offering free breakfast to all students in the Commonwealth? So if your answer is yes, it's because the people who were elected to be there, we want them to stay there. You have to break it down, and it's okay. Listen, those of us who understand this democratic process understands what's at stake. the trajectory of our country is going to change, guys. November 6th. Either way, it's going to change. But we can't afford for it to change against our productivity as a people. So
Absolutely.
maybe the words have to look different, but we have to be really creative in saying, you know what? Let's have a stroll to the polls party. Maybe everybody meet at a certain time, and after you come in with your I voted sticker, you get I don't know who has businesses, but you get a free drink somewhere. You get a platter. You get water. You get something. We have to be creative.
We have to be creative. I totally agree with that. I am a businesswoman. This is Woman Up Initiative's September webinar that we host here at Sherry Williams Enterprises, LLC. And we celebrate, promote, and invest in women and men in the community and in business. And so that's why we have these conversations. And it's so timely because, again, some of the conversations that I'm just hearing people talk, I'm listening to them. I'm like, you can't be serious. Like, really? What did you do to advance your situation to make it better for not only you, but for the next person? If you haven't done anything, you can't complain about anything. So what we want to encourage everyone to do tonight is vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for, you just have to vote because it is your civic duty to do that. So if you want the things that you want, you have to make a difference by voting, and not only by voting, but sharing the information with others. Hold on one second. Anita, I see your hand is raised. I'm gonna get this last question out and then I'm gonna come to you for your question. So, what measures can be taken to combat voter suppression and ensure that everyone's right to vote is protected? And how can different branches of government collaborate?
Well, I would like to report for your first question. I just gave you the approach to it. Talk to people. Talk to people, right? Voter apathy is really as simple as conversations. Unfortunately, as many years as I served as being a community advocate and a developer and all of that, educator, social worker, grief counselor, because I am now a legislator, people don't remember none of that. All they see is Regina's a legislator. She just wants people to vote. All right, whatever. But people like you all who don't, who others won't necessarily see you have skin in the game, listen to you differently because we done created these narratives. Oh, now you're. I just talked to, I don't know Belinda on this call, but Melinda is my chief of staff. But she's also my best friend. So sometimes she be wilding out. Yeah. I would say about our conversation. Cause she be off the hook sometimes. So earlier today she goes, we were having a conversation. And she's like, yeah, them politicians. And I'm like, the hell, what are you talking about? I'm a politician. However, we had to like walk it through. We're just people. She's like, the politicians are ABC, right? And I said, but guess what? Politicians are people too. So what, are we not supposed to be angry? Are we not supposed to one up in your mouth? Like, what are we not supposed to do? We're people. So we get angry, we get sad, we get tired, we get overwhelmed too. So don't put us in a category, but because we're elected, that we are not human beings, right? And we could talk like that. Like we could talk like that. So I will just say to you, to combat voter apathy, that would be my approach. Just simply talk to people when they're like, well, this isn't done, this. Your question, well, what have you done about that? What have you done about that? If something's not working for you, what have you done about it, right? And so the other part was, what was the other part again? Because
the other part was and how can government collaborate?
Oh, collaborate. Different. So I will just, again, I only know my approach, so I can only share what I do. And I just talk to people. I'm always say it's 203 of us in that house. You never, ever got to talk to Regina Young. That's fine. Government, the same way. As I'm telling you all to just talk to the people when you see them, that's how I work with my networks. I have friends on a city level, friends on a state level, friends on a federal level, friends on a community level. And we do collaborate. Whenever you see things and Rep Young, when Rep Nem, my name is on it, I have told my other partners, my federal partners, my council, my city council partners, my Delco County partners, my state, I tell everybody. And if they participate, okay. And if they don't, okay. And we got to stop being so sensitive. I told you, like generally speaking, how many people serve. And it's just one of us. They always just want us at all their stuff. I'm a whole person, like one person, so I can't be everywhere. So if I'm inviting my other electeds in my cohort to an event, and if they're not able to make it, I apologize on their behalf and I explain to others why they can't make it. It's completely fine. We have to, again, be uncomfortable sometimes and stop letting people walk away with the narrative that we don't work collaboratively, because we do. Just because you don't see me at my event, somebody at my event, don't mean they're not supportive.
Well,
I mean, we got to have that conversation.
That is truth. We are speaking truth to power tonight here on our September Woman Up Initiatives. I mean, we always bring the fire with the conversations in our Speakers Bureau and our series, because we want to have real conversations with real people, because that's the only way you can get things done. And for all of you that know me, I'm not going to talk about anything that's not real. And everything that you're saying tonight, Rep, I can honestly say I know about, because I do. And it does hit differently. And the families are also affected by the decisions. So just please know that when you're out there, when people approach, they don't understand the families are affected as well. So now we're going to go right over to Anita Lewis for her question.
Okay, so really quickly, I just want to say, well, first of all, hi, Yolanda, and thank you for causes. I already signed up, so I love it already. Thank you. Yeah, I'm no nonsense when it comes to this stuff. And the other thing I want to say is earlier you said, we just want you to vote. We don't care who you vote for. And I knew what you meant, but I just want to add a little caveat to it. People need to be really clear. You're not voting for a prom king or queen. You are voting for someone whose values and whose causes, mission, purpose, they talk about supporting and implementing ideas and access to things that impact your life in a positive way. That's what you want to vote for. People are saying, oh, I don't want to vote for him because he's short or he's ugly or she's black or whatever. And it's like, dude, this is not a popularity contest. You need to think about, do they support issues?
I think Anita blanked out for a minute. Can you guys hear her? I can't.
I hear her.
You blanked out for a minute, Anita, but I think we get the gist of what you're saying.
They heard me.
We got you. We got you. We heard you.
And just to add to that, Sherry, really, really quick, what I like to do is tell people, just to add to what Anita was saying, when I'm talking to people, vote your family, vote your health, vote your community, vote your job, vote your children, vote your seniors. So when you really break it down to the lowest common denominator, it causes people to think like, wow, yeah, that makes sense, or that doesn't make sense. Well, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I use those words as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This conversation is like so dope because, again, we have real conversations with real people. And so we will show this on our website and our social media channels so everyone can engage and, just understand what they should be thinking about as we are in an election cycle. And this is a bipartisan conversation. And we just really want to encourage people to learn about the hierarchies of U.S. government, because, again, people don't know, and all about civic engagement. What does I'm gonna ask a couple. We have a few minutes.
Wait, one more, because I
more
think my
question.
mom's been trying to ask a question.
Oh, I
I
didn't
see
see
her
your
little
hand up. Okay,
poor thing.
yes,
She don't know
please.
how to use all the
Oh
functions.
no, well, we're gonna get mom in here. Answer that
Unmute,
question.
mom. It's the microphone. Okay. You don't see the microphone? Okay, well, I can't. You can text me and I'll ask the question. Text me and I'll ask the question. All right, go ahead. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
well, while she texts you, then you can ask the question. I was going to ask each of the folks that joined us tonight, what do you do, or what do you, I know you all do something, so I'm just having it being shared with everyone else. What do you do for your civic engagement? Anyone can jump in first. I got a call on somebody. Okay, Yolanda.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry, I had
me and Yolanda, you've been talking too much, so I'm gonna let everybody else talk.
and listen, I just have this to say. Okay, I'm already signed up to the Canvas. I'm gonna put Daddy in his little scooter and we're gonna Canvas and we're gonna do our due diligence. I will be voting early. I will be talking to people and I will have a dinner. I'm gonna take Representative Young's advice and maybe feed the people instead of lecture. So noted on that 100. But I also want to just say this, Representative Young, I have to give you, when you're talking about being uncomfortable, you are walking through a predominantly Republican district. In this time, in this climate in our country. And that is the ultimate of uncomfortable. And I applaud you and I have mad respect for you. And I wish you all the best. And I wish you were in Maryland.
Thank you. Oh, so
Absolutely. So we'll make sure that the rep comes to the next event that will be hosted in DC. But Mom, you got that question that Mom wanted to ask?
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I want to say what I'm doing.
Okay. All right, Dr. Amani Price.
All right.
Let's
Not
hear
as
it.
much as I did when Donna Edwards was running, but I am signed up. I do give money, and I'm signed up for weekly donations, in particular to a particular candidate. And I talk to any and everybody about voting, and the people in my family who are voting age, especially if you live in my house or live in my state, you're going to vote. That's just what it is. And my nephew wasn't signed up here. I filled out his paperwork and had him sign it and dropped it in the box.
And that's what we're talking about, action. We speak it, we live it, and we act upon it. Because if we are not calling our nieces, our nephews, and letting them know we need their vote, then we are doing a disservice to our community and to ourselves. So
And I just want to add to that because I think that's definitely helpful when we, use those approaches because I do that as well in my household. However, I go a step further by letting them know, like I'm a nature person. I'm from Connecticut, so I love trees and all that, right? But I would say I like to bring like my kids outside. I like to bring the young people outside and I like to drive around. And I like for them to better understand this world belongs to you. Like your vote, this is because this is your world. Like this is what you're going to be leading soon. And from the time of comprehension, I taught my children I want to make sure that you are, I call them upper echelon, right? I was like, I want y'all to be the upper echelon. That means you can sit on any continent at any table and own the room. So I embedded that in them. And I think when we're telling our young people and some of our young adults, and guess what, some of our older adults too, when your vote, this world it belongs to you. Like you create the space you want to see because by your vote, you are literally creating the space you want to see. So I think when we're using like various opportunities to kind of highlight those illustrations, it awakens their mind because they're like, wait a minute, this is my responsibility. And then they get excited about it because they're creating it. So Just
I
another
think that is
tidbit.
impact. And we have to have that impact not only on our youngsters and our family and the ones that they even associate with, but for ourselves as well. Because if you don't even have that impact for yourself, how are you going to even touch somebody else or reach somebody else? But I only hang around with powerful women that can get powerful things done because as like with you, Regina, I was always told as a young woman that I am a star.
Facts. Facts, baby.
And I
Yes,
said to my
baby.
father one time, "What is a celebrity?" And he pointed at me. He said, "You."
Facts.
And I said, "Okay." And I live my life outside the box. I
Yes, you
created
do.
this space here for Woman Up Initiatives. And Anita has been here from the beginning. All of you know we do the Woman Up Initiatives Tea and Hat Awards. It gets better and better and better every year. And since you guys are on Secret, we're going to be choosing the location and date very soon for 2025. Yay! So I'm super excited about that. But Rep, your information that you shared with us tonight, I appreciate you sharing it and being here with us because it's so impactful. And two, understanding the hierarchies of U.S. government is just one of them things I'm interested in, and I think everybody should be interested in because it impacts every single person that's alive.
Amen.
Every single person, from the youngsters to our age to the younger folks, everyone. So this is why we have these kind of serious conversations. So I hope you come back and join us another time and give us any last parting words before we go tonight. Rep.
I will just say, I appreciate all that you are. This platform is important. I'm a firm believer that every voice matters. So, regardless of the number, everybody knows somebody and everybody can impact somebody. My mom put in a chat that, she's determined to not go back. And I honestly think, especially for our seniors, going back does not look pleasant to them. And I remember when I was running my campaign, I remember sharing that my ancestors survived the transatlantic. They survived, segregation. They survived slavery for me to be in this moment on purpose. And so I make sure those people who come from my lineage to this country understand we are all we are all responsible for creating a better tomorrow so we will never have to relive the suffrage of our ancestors. And so I'm passionate about it, and anything that I can do to be supportive and helpful to highlight this conversation, definitely let me know. I'm here for it.
Well, thank you so much. The last few questions that are in the chat, I'll just read them. I told some people today that they should vote. I'm not going backwards. That's why it's important for me to vote. I went and took my nephew to get his paperwork done so that he can vote. Let's see. We're creating opportunities that you want others to see. So that's what voting does for all of us. And I do walk out and say, this world belongs to me, and what I'm going to do today and how I'm going to impact it and how it's going to impact me. So knowledge is power. And that's why we do make sure that we're celebrating, promoting, and investing in representatives like you that represent other people in the community. You are a rock star. That's the comments that are in the chat. I truly believe that, my sister. And thank you so much for being here tonight. Let's give her a round, you guys.
There's more in the chat.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here, ladies, tonight and participating in this much needed conversation about the hierarchies of the U.S. government and your civic engagement. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.